Everyone's waking up. The whole planet's awakening. There is a huge shift of consciousness happening on the planet. Whether you're aware of it or not, I started waking up realizing governments were corrupt. I fought the system. Article 61 is a legitimate law in the Kingdom of England to say, if you're not happy with what the government's doing, you can just say, oh, that's not for me, thanks.
Is that real?
That's a real thing. The legal system is a man-made technology designed to control masses. I got arrested 27 times in 3 years. I got 6 cars crushed, and I went through the entire process, courtroom after courtroom after courtroom, learning the legal language. I always ask the police one question: do you have a degree in law? No. Then why would I listen to you? Are you legally trained? No. Then how are you enforcing the law? Well, I started negotiating with judges.
But they know what you're doing.
Yeah. But I also know what they're doing. So like checkmate. The government have insidiously invited themselves into every aspect of our life, and that's why it seems like we're in a spider web, we can't get out of it. Capitalism and healthcare shouldn't be allowed to exist. You shouldn't be allowed to capitalize on illness. That's horrible. And I want to live on a planet with loving people. That's the truth. I want to live on a planet where people aren't doing everything for themselves. So let's get more uplifting, inspirational, and excited people about life in politics.
If you had children, would you not sign the petition?
Absolutely not. Why would I give my children, my living, breathing, conscious, spiritual, intelligent being that I've co-created with my partner, why would I then give it to a crown corporation government?
Welcome, Chris.
Hi.
Podcast mode now.
Yeah.
Very professional. How are you, mate?
I'm great. Really, honestly.
It's been a while since I've seen you, but I've always enjoyed our conversations. They always go a little bit weird and wonderful. So I thought it'd be interesting to get you on and sort of express some of that knowledge you have and have built over the last 2 decades?
Mostly a decade.
Decade.
Yeah.
Your eyes have been open for a decade.
Yeah, when I was 30, I was living in London with my wife then. And I looked around and I thought, I'm in the wrong place with the wrong woman doing the wrong thing. And I left London and my wife and even the country, ended up in Asia. So,
wow.
Yeah. Full circle. Back
I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there that can resonate with that straight away, but actually making that decision is tough, isn't it?
It's really tough. Yeah, you have to be really honest with yourself. Like super honest. You only live once. And time is the most precious commodity that we have. From the moment we're born to the moment we die, the hourglass is tilted. And if you don't use those sand granules carefully, it'll be gone.
So weirdly kind of scary and exciting, that concept, isn't it? At the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, people who aren't aware of their own death spend their whole life avoiding the idea of death, mourning death. It's like death is a negative thing. But if you really, really look at your own death, that's when you start living. As the Buddhists say, you have to die before you die so you can live before you die. So the false self, the ego, has to die so you can actually truly live your life.
It's also like in modern times, it's very hidden death, isn't it? It's very clinical, behind closed doors, in a hospital ward somewhere. We don't see a lot of it. 2,000 years ago, you'd see people killing each other. There'd be a lot more war physically available.
That's right.
Generally across the globe.
Culturally, they cover dead bodies up with sheets. Like if there's and you are maintaining a certain level of dignity to the deceased member, but it's hidden. You are right. And Ernest Becker wrote an incredible book called The Denial of Death, how humans simply do not acknowledge their own fatality, their own existence ending. And in doing so, you waste a lot of time because you think, I've got loads of time. I've just turned 40 and I'm simply aware that I'm halfway through this experience.
If you're lucky.
If I'm lucky, if the life lottery grants me 80 years. But I'm halfway in my mind.
Are any of us ever aware of the death, though? And what I mean by that is, when you die, you're gone. Everyone else is aware of it, but you're not.
But what are you referring to when you say you're gone? This is our penultimate question, which is you have a physical body, right? And you can be aware of that physical body. So when your physical body dies, does the awareness of the physical body die?
The conscious mind is the thing the thing that's making me think now, whatever that is, whether that's the soul, whether that's the energy, whether that's
Yeah.
electromagnetic fields, as Joe said, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
that element of it. I always think about this. Can you remember before you were born?
No.
I presume that's what it's like after.
But it doesn't mean
unless you have a religious faith.
Yeah, but the human mind, the conscious mind, the 10% mind, as I call it, because 90% of this experience is subconscious, and only a tiny fraction of it is actually thinking and believing and assuming, and so many things are happening here that we're assuming is real. But so much like the rods and cones of your retinas are being functioning, and your liver lymphatic system is functioning, and that's all happening without you thinking about doing it, right? So your body is functioning without you actually doing anything. What's doing that? What's functioning your digestive system? What's secreting all of the hormones through your body? You not doing it. You're not thinking all the time, oh, I must breathe. No, your breathing is just happening.
But what is doing it then?
Well, that's
your brain.
Is it your brain? What's functioning your brain? Is the brain functioning itself? What's beating your heart? Is your brain beating your heart?
I just think about I always try and logically put it into something. I need to box it, right?
Yeah,
for my brain to understand.
Yeah, but the human mind can't comprehend the infinite. That's why.
So I think of a car. So I think of the brain. You start it up, and something's pumping and it's moving fuel around. That then ignites. That creates power. All the cogs move.
That's like Newtonian physics. So to get into the realms of thinking in terms of mechanical, the world is a mechanical place, and everything has a mechanical function. But the world is wiggly and random, and it kind of flows, and there's no straight lines, and only human beings create straight lines. If you look around here, it's all human-made. But if you go out in nature, there's no straight lines. Like there's nothing straight in nature. It's all wiggly and random and spontaneous. And we human beings, we like to put things in boxes and categorize things and compartmentalize systems so that we can make sense of the world. But that isn't how the world is. That's just a human condition, and we are infinite beings, whether you're woohoo, spiritual, nonsense, hippie bullshit, or you're not, that's a fact. We are supremely intelligent people who can build skyscrapers and cathedrals and classical music, and we can look at quantum maths and quantum physics and just get into the bare bones of the fabric of existence, and we can also stub our toe.
and be like,
oh, I feel depressed today, I'll go back to bed. And it's the full spectrum of experience that we get to experience while we're humans, and that's what makes us special. Us offset from the plants and the animals is that we have imagination. We can invent stuff. I haven't seen a dog invent anything yet.
But they're amazing, aren't they?
They're beautiful, and they're the best of us.
Yeah, I feel like these sort of topics at the moment, I don't know whether they're growing or whether I'm more aware of them. But I feel like everywhere I turn at the moment, it's very much like the conversations follow this sort of line.
Everyone's waking up. The whole planet's awakening. There is a huge shift of consciousness happening on the planet. Whether you're aware of it or not, whether someone who's deeply unconscious, rooted in ego, rooted in the physicalities of physical reality, or they're ascending into higher realms of consciousness, it's happening regardless. So people can become very self-aware of the awakening of the planet. People who go to Eckhart Tolle or Deepak Chopra, or going to consciousness seminars or healing seminars or hippie festivals or taking psychedelics, or all of this expansion of consciousness has been going on for in waves and waves for hundreds of years. And the 60s was a huge expansion of flower power and love and drugs and sex, and it was like, and then the powers that be locked us down in the 70s, and then the 80s it got worse, in the 90s, and now we're living in totalitarian times.
And you think everyone's just kind of...
But the awakening is inevitable. It's inevitable. So the government can do everything they want to try and lock us down and control us and fine us and charge us and give us notices and licenses and registrations. They can do all they want, but when you wake up, none of those apply to you. They just disappear. Like Neo, when he holds his hand up in the Matrix and the bullets stop, it's because he's died, ego death, and he gets shot, the metaphor of the death of him. And in Trinity, the Holy Trinity says to him, I love you. And he feels the love of the Trinity, and he comes back to life as the one. And then when the agents go to attack him, he just puts his hands out and he stops the bullets. It's all metaphorical, which is no government or king can do anything to you if you're awake. It just becomes irrelevant. But it doesn't mean you go around acting like a lunatic.
So this is what I was going to say. So the idea of that is so intriguing to me and kind of welcoming. And I feel like I want to run towards that.
Yeah.
But I'm also a realist, right? And I'm living in reality, or this form of reality that we're in, whatever this is.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of that stuff you can't do. You can't ignore the rules or ignore the powers that be or ignore the politics because it directly affects your day-to-day life.
It's not about ignoring it. It's about choosing an alternative reality, because when you wake up, you become morally and ethically sound. You understand that you respect other people. You don't go and force yourself. I don't drive 100 miles an hour because I can. I simply drive the speed limit because it's the responsible thing to do. I know I'm doing a speeding ticket, which we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
It's not about you just, it's about you become morally sound, which is I don't want other people to be affected negatively by my life. So if you tell that information to someone who perhaps is dealing with psychological and emotional trauma, and they think they're entitled and they're angry and the world owes them something, and you tell them, oh, nothing matters and the universe is meaningless, they may go and beat someone up or steal something from a shop. Well, those people aren't meant to know the truth of existence. Yet, when they wake up and they start healing themselves, then they start to understand, right, this is a fabric of consciousness. This is a projection of consciousness, and I am actually generating it. It's not life isn't something that's happening to me. It's something I'm creating all the time, 24 hours a day. They call it the law of attraction. That's rubbish. It's actually the law of generation. You're actually creating it. So it looks like, from our linear perspective, that something's being attracted towards us. We actually placed it there at the perfect time when we were ready to receive it.
Maybe I'm half awake.
Well, it's
because
not
I feel like I'm hitting a barrier sometimes when I go into that world. I dive into it.
Yeah,
a lot of it makes sense, and I feel like I get so far, and something grabs me and just pulls me back.
Yeah, it's safety
to where I am.
It makes you feel a bit safer to be in the comfort zone. But you're a man who pushes yourself to the extremes. Like, you're an ultra runner and you're lifting weights and you're doing marathons and you're running charity events and you're running Sandfest. You've got all these things happening. You are a man that's pushing out the boundaries of what other people are not doing. And you're a man who's achieving things. But when it comes to the expansion of consciousness, it really requires no effort at all on your part, other than the consideration or the contemplation of bigger and higher things. You can sit in a room in silence for a week, and you'd have an incredible experience. No food, no water, maybe a bit of water, but just sitting there quietly contemplating the true nature of reality. All these downloads will come to you. You start feeling more expanded, more unity, more love, more happiness.
You know, those things that you mentioned then, for me though, I feel like maybe the reason I can push myself that way, two reasons. One of them is I still feel like I have control. To an extent.
Who is the I who thinks he has control? Who are you referring to when you say I?
Well, yeah, the brain inside that thinks. Whoever this person is now that's thinking and talking to you. Person, power, energy, being.
But they're all different things. Like, person is persona, mask, a fake self. So if you think of yourself as a person, you're actually thinking of yourself as separate from the infinite creator. A persona is a mask, a fake thing. So I identify myself as an energy first. I know that I have a physical body. I know I have thoughts. I can witness my thoughts happening. Some of them are good. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are a little bit disturbing. But I'm a witness of them. But what is the witness of the thoughts? That's the penultimate question. And it's a silent witness that doesn't have an identity. It's an identityless witness who's just quietly chilling in the back of the experience, witnessing the emotion coming up, witnessing the thoughts happening, the belief systems, and how defense mechanisms kick in and triggers emotional responses and stuff. But you can actually witness the entire experience from a singularity, from a point of absolute awareness. And that's what you are first, before your physical body and the identity of Ty Temel, and before you think that you are this person and you feel that you are this person. You are a non-physical awareness first, witnessing the entire experience. That's what you are. And that thing is made of love first.
Wow. Reminds me of Joe's podcast. Just that little bit then. Took me back to sat with him then.
Yeah.
Love. Talk to me about love.
Love is the essence of creation. Love is the fabric of, it's the nature of, it's a loving God, whatever God is, whatever you call it, whatever anyone wants to call it, all that is made of love. It's the energy of creation. That's why we call it making love. And then what happens? We make creation out of it. So it's a synergy of creation, and that love comes with free will. It's so loving, it's so beautiful that it gives you the freedom to do whatever you want here. Because God doesn't want to control what it creates. That doesn't make any sense. To create something and then dictate what it does, that's not very loving. Love is freedom. It's the ability to be yourself, and God creates an infinite number of versions of itself. We're all just expressions of this infinite energy, this infinite intelligence. So part of free will is you get to be evil if you want to be. And there's no judgment. If you want to go and set fire to a house, you can go and do whatever you want. I'm not advocating this behavior. I'm just simply as a philosophical concept, which is there is no right and wrong way to live a human experience from God's perspective. Now, we just have to decide where we sit in relation to that infinite creation. And like Manly P. Hall said, incredible author, he wrote, "There isn't evil, there's only ignorance of God's love." So evil actions, evil deeds, evil words are just ignorance of the love of God. And you move further and further away from that true expression of love. And you get more and more dense, and you can start controlling things and manipulating things and chastising things and judging things. And you can become a tyrannical government, essentially, or some kind of Illuminati-style-esque secret society who wants to control and manipulate the planet. That is the furthest you can get away from the actual truth of existence, which is love.
I mean, I feel like globally, we see a lot more of it, obviously, because we're so connected with the internet, but hate is the worst I've seen it since I've been alive. And most of those hates come from opposing beliefs.
Yes.
So where have we gone so wrong?
We watch television.
Program us.
It's a television program. They don't hide it.
You know what I mean?
It's
like if it really is as you say, then has the world, my brain goes into two different areas here, has the world lost its faith or its love of God, quote unquote, because it's only for a believer really that.
Yeah. But
then you'd argue most of the shit going on right now in the world is a direct interpretation of a belief system.
Yes, but this is going to blow your mind, but you don't need to believe in God to know that you are God, because God is omnipresent and omnipotent, which means he's in everything and everyone, and you are part of the canvas of experience. You are part of the canvas of reality. So to believe in God is to technically have no faith in God. If you believe in God...
That's an interesting concept.
And how about this, to look at it this way? There's two leaves at the end of a branch of a very big tree, and they're blowing in the wind. And one leaf says to the other leaf, "Yeah, do you believe in the tree?" He goes, No, I don't believe in the tree. And he goes, "Well, I believe in the tree." "You believe in the tree?" "Yeah, I believe in the tree." Both are wrong. They are the tree. They are an expression of the tree. The leaves are expressing themselves out of its own creation. To hold the idea that you believe in the thing that's creating you is a completely pointless waste of time. Why would you believe in the thing that's creating you? You don't need to believe in it. You are it. As the Hindus say, tad tavamasi, which is you are it. Let go of the belief in something that's creating you, because the fact that you exist means that you are created. So then there must be something creating the experience.
Is there no desire in you to kind of get to the bottom of that in terms of what is creating? Because obviously the way you describe it is quite like relaxed with whatever that is that we're talking about, that power, that creator.
Yeah,
whereas then you've got science, which it goes back to kind of boxing stuff and going, well, X equals Y because of...
Yeah, there's a great...
Like, are you okay just living through life, like kind of not wanting to get to the bare bottom of why stuff happens?
Yeah, but the why question arises from the ego. The why, the seeking, the searching, the wanting to know. I need to know. I need to know that. I need to get to the bottom of this. That's all ego. That's all ego. Eventually you go full circle and you're like, oh, okay, it just is what it is. That's why Zen masters are just sitting in a monastery, sitting looking out at flowers.
See, the is what it is concept. I kind of embody that quite a bit myself as well. Generally, when stuff goes wrong, it is what it is, right?
It just is what it is.
Yeah, when it goes right, you take credit for it. That's when your ego kicks in. You know what I mean, though? If you think about it, when something goes right, you think, oh, yeah, I worked really hard for that. I was mentally strong. I completed that challenge.
Yeah.
But when something goes wrong, you're like, oh, it's what it is. You just have to get on with it. That's life.
Narcissism.
Yeah, maybe.
Narcissism. Something went wrong. Definitely wasn't me. Something went right. It was me.
Yeah. But it's true, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
90% of people you speak to would have adopted a version of that.
Yeah. It's a human
100%.
condition. Human condition. Males and females. When the word narcissism gets thrown around a lot, everyone has narcissism. Anyone that thinks they're not a narcissist needs to go to talk to Jordan Peterson. And he will tell you everybody lies and everyone's a narcissist. You just have to accept it. But you are right. It's okay. We can. The humility of it is laughing at it. Humility. Confidence without humility is arrogance. So being outwardly confident in life without developing humility is you're just an arrogant prick walking around. Look at me. Blah, blah, blah. But you can be confident with humility. Mm-hmm. And now you're truly confident. You're sitting in that space. And we're all narcissists. No one wants to take responsibility for things that go wrong. Like, nobody. But we have to check in with our male ego that make sure we're not offsetting that to someone else. We can say it is what it is, which is a very Buddhist approach. It is what it is.
It's powerful.
As long as we're not saying it was that guy's fault. Blame him. It was actually her. It was her fault. It wasn't me. It was her.
Yeah.
Now we're going into toxic masculinity, as they call it, or narcissism.
Before we delve into that, Chris, let's take it back. Because what I want to understand with you is, obviously, we've known each other for a very, very long time.
20 years.
Yeah, probably.
I've known about you since I was about 20,
Yeah, 20 years. I'd say, how old am I now? 16, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Since you were driving around Swanage in a transit van selling cups.
That was like I was 18 or 19, yeah, so I'm 36, yeah.
Yeah.
Long time. Now, for as long as I've known you, you've been into music. You're still into music now.
That's right.
That's your profession, effectively.
That's right, yeah.
You gig, you play the guitar, you teach, which is amazing. But somewhere along the line, you went from musician Chris, which is quite relaxed as well, to this guy being really interested in, like, and passionate about, say, the sovereignty or the legal system versus the lawful system. Mm-hmm. And you created something called the Lawful Collective.
At the time, yeah. At the time. That was 10 years ago,
Yeah, a long time ago. But like that time, the reason it sticks in my mind is there was a period when there was probably a 2-year period in my life where I didn't have to pay a parking ticket because of the knowledge you gave me. Mm-hmm. And I remember that. And I was thinking, fuck. And I want to touch on that now, because obviously I know your life's changed a lot, and we'll carry on through that journey to kind of where you are now. Yeah. But I think it's interesting for people to hear.
Yeah.
So
I think it's important as well.
Yeah. So give me a little bit of background in terms of that, the way you used to explain it to me with the kind of EU treaty and the Magna Carta, and, you know, because I'm going to butcher it, but I think if you explain the general gist of what that Lawful Collective was, what it stood for, what it did, and then we can talk about some examples of it, like TV license and parking fines.
Okay. So I was sitting with my friend Jonathan. He showed me a courtroom scene of a man in America standing up to a judge. And I was unconscious at the time. I had no formal education in legal systems or lawful systems. And I watched this guy make a judge leave the chamber and leave. And then he said, "I am now the highest ranking member of this court, and I dismiss this case." And he walked out. And I watched this video. I was like, is that even possible?
A real
courtroom. And he was questioning the judge's validity. He was saying, are you acting under oath right now in this courtroom? Are you under oath? Or are you acting for the state? And the judge is like, right, move on to the next thing. And he just kept questioning the judge. And eventually the judge he just got up and left the chamber. And he says, judge has left the chamber. Case dismissed. See you later. And he left. And I went, is that even a thing? Okay. So we started reading constitutional law. Me and Johnny were in it. We were in it.
That's wild.
We were just like, is this even a thing? Wow, we're passing messages to each other. We joined a bunch of communities online, and it would just unravel. That was the beginning of what I've become now. So then I was like, well, knowledge with experience becomes wisdom. So I went and took the license plates off my car. And I
remember
just got rid of anything that had a documentation with my name on it, and I was just traveling around in a vehicle, like looking for the police, because I wanted to know truly if that was a real thing. And the more you study, knowledge is power. Truly, knowledge is power, because if applied, knowledge without application of knowledge, you just, it's like a bird flying that has wings. It's just not applying itself, not flying. So I decided to go, and I got arrested 27 times in 3 years. I got 6 cars crushed, and I went through the entire process, courtroom after courtroom after courtroom, learning the legal language. It got up to 70-odd thousand pounds in fines, and my parents were just pulling their hair out, and my friends were just like, what are you doing? And I just knew intuitively that the more I studied, the more I understood the legal system. And I thought, no, there's nothing anyone could do to me. There's anything that can happen. I just knew that nothing would happen to me. I had nothing to lose. I didn't have houses or mortgages or cars or anything. I had no businesses at the time. So I thought, well, let's go. Let's jump into this world and see what happens. And I did it. And, when you get locked up in a prison cell, you panic, man. There's a lot of things that come up. But now I realize it was teaching me and healing me. The fear of what could happen, the worry, the concern. I was just freaking out over and over again. And then it got less and less and less and less until I started negotiating with judges. And I started getting to the point where I wasn't here, I was here. And I was telling the judges, okay, cool, let's have a chat. And they were like looking at me, and I was looking at them. And there was these moments, especially with Martin Michelson, he was a magistrate, incredible guy. Respect the legal system. Although I'm opposed to it, part of the legal system is honor. You have to honor it. Mm-hmm. That's why it says the right honorable gentleman when they're talking to the person that they're opposing, because honor and respect is part of the legal system. You could say the legal system is a measuring tool to see where you're at in your consciousness, in your development, in your education, in your knowledge, in your experience, in your wisdom, how you love and respect the system. Even if you don't agree with it, you can tilt your hat at it and say, I appreciate that you're there. The legal system is a measuring tool to see if you're a peasant or whether you're a king. And depending on where you go on there, they'll let you off some fines. If you say, you're the right honourable gentleman up there, I like that. Mm. And if you go in and go, I'm a freeman on the land, like I did at the beginning, and I stand up for my inalienable rights, they just throw you back in the dock, just throw you back in the prison cell. Oh, peasant, get rid of him. But you develop. Now you walk in, you're like, you right? They're like, yeah, good, calm as hell, relaxed. Well, I'm simply not doing that for a start. Okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, we can talk about it, but I'm not, we can, okay, drop the fines, cool, let that guy go. He's figured out the secret. And it truly is a secret, which is they can't do anything to you. There's nothing anyone could do to you if you don't agree to it. Perceived authority.
See, I don't know if I'm having that, because they just put you in jail.
Can't put you in jail. Because, look, the block capital name isn't who you are, right? So if it's a block capital name, Mr. Ty Temel, right, on a piece of paper, that isn't who you are. It's just a piece of paper. So when they summons you to court, they're summoning the account holder of this account. Now, if you disassociate with that account, that's not who you are. They need you to go into the court and say, oh, yes, I am the trustee to this account. And they go, oh, great, you're now liable for everything. But if you go in and say, no, I'm acting as a beneficiary to this account, not the trustee, they go, oh, yeah, you know about that, do you? Yeah, I know that I'm the beneficiary of the state account, not the trustee. So I'm not liable for anything that goes on in this account. That's an account name, right?
Like a corporation, yeah.
So if you go in as the trustee, oh, yeah, that's who I am. I'm the trustee, right? Prison, fines, court time, you got to do as you're told. But if you go in and say, well, I just don't go to court anymore, so it's irrelevant. But if you do go in, you say, I'm acting as the beneficiary of this account, not the trustee. They go, oh, okay. But you're the trustee.
In those words?
Yeah, just like that. Don't stand when they say stand. Don't say your name when they say your name. So it's annoying. Imagine if a chess master gave you an invitation to play him, and you didn't know anything about chess. And you go to this chess game and you lose straight away. And he's like, 50 quid. And you're like, oh, man, okay, 50 quid. And then the chess master invites you to another game. And you're like, oh, I'm going to go along. Cool. And then you lose 50 quid. What's going to happen? You're going to get better at chess. You're going to learn, and then you might get to a point, but you still checkmate you, and then again, checkmate you. The people who run the courts are chess masters at language. They got legalese language, and there's regular English. And you think it's all just one language. But they're speaking to you in legalese, and you're assuming it's English. So when they say summons you to court, summons means invitation to court. It doesn't say you have to go. So when you say, oh, I've been summoned to court, you're actually, oh, would you like to come to court and play business with us? No, thank you. I'm not the account holder of this thing that you're doing. I'm over here living a human life where there's no rules. You can do whatever you want, be whatever you want, act however you want. Now, don't kill anyone, don't steal anything, don't defraud anyone, and don't cause a loss, harm, or injury to anyone, because they're universal laws. If you're harming someone, you're in prison. If you're stealing something, you're in prison, regardless of what you think about the legal system. If you cause a loss, harm, or injury to anyone, you're in prison. If you defraud someone, you're a criminal. These are criminal actions. But not paying your council tax isn't a criminal action because no one is losing anything. No human is being affected by you not paying your council tax.
Well, they'd argue that pot of money they get to then service stuff.
But how is not getting your bins collected harming someone? It isn't. The streetlights won't come on. Oh, well, no one's being harmed by that. But the system relies on the money going into it so it can perpetuate itself. And I want my bins collected, and I want the streetlights to come on, and I like having hedgerows cut nice in my town. And I think that it's not about just unwillingly it's not about just giving your money to everyone because you've been told to. It's about you choosing where your money goes and how much you want to pay. So I'm not advocating that everyone just jumps out of the system. The whole system would collapse. There'd be no NHS, no nurses, no doctors, no ambulances, and they are the fabric of our community. So I'm not advocating that we simply just throw the system out and we all just walk around with like crystals on and sing Hare Krishna. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we as conscious beings can choose where we direct our money and why we do it, and we're consciously aware. And we're not just in a band A, £160 a month. No, I pay £57 a month for my council tax because that's all I want to pay and that's all I can afford. Thank you so much. We have the free will to choose where our money goes. But if you're not conscious and you're unconscious, the government just step in and say, band C, £200. But if you're consciously aware that your money is your own, then you could say, well, no, I don't want to pay band C. Take me out of all the bands and I'll have my own customized little thing that says I'll pay this because I'm happy to pay it. Thank you so much.
I'm thinking of TV license as an example.
Just don't pay. It's private. It's not even government. It's private. It's a BBC thing.
Yeah, but you don't pay it.
No.
And they send you let's say they send you a letter, right? So you need to pay TV license. No. Then it's a bit more threatening one. Then it's a slightly more threatening one. Then they say they're going to come to your house with bailiffs.
So?
Yeah, but they come.
And?
So what do you do?
Don't answer the door. They can only come in your house if you know you're living there. So just don't answer the door. No one's going to break into your house. I've never seen a bailiff break into a house ever. They'll be breaking the law for breaking and entering.
Yeah, I don't think they have the power to break in, but if you let them in.
Well, why would you let them in? That don't make any sense.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think like...
But the thing is, the whole system is designed to tap into your fear. So if you have fear, this is why mental health and healing moves into, legal system moves into healing. Because once you eradicate fear from your system, ain't nobody telling you what to do. The only reason they rely on the fear within us, that we say, hey, the big stick of the law is coming to your house. Oh, really? Oh, my God, what will happen? Whoa, we're going to come for you and your television and all of your stuff. You are? Oh, my God, this block capital red piece of lettering on this letter is really intimidating. Oh, my God, there's fear inside of me. It's freaking me out. Oh, my God, what can I do? I better just pay them. Let's just pay them. This fear is too much. So how much is it? £120? They go, take the money. Oh, the fear disappears again. Oh, I feel so much better. Oh, life is so much better again. That's what they're relying on. But when you take plant medicines, you heal all of that stuff. Now letters are just fun things that you go, oh, a fun thing. And you just
there's an element of reality in those letters. Like
if you associate yourself with a legal name, yeah, it's very real. But if you don't, if you identify with the legal fictional name, then you haven't got to do as you're told.
How do you unidentify as it? Legally?
No, lawfully.
Lawfully.
Yeah, the legal system is a man-made technology. And I mean this literally, it is a man-made technology designed to control masses. Now, I completely agree with the legal system because you can't have 63 million people in the United Kingdom doing whatever they want. So we need a legal system that applies to the people who are reversing down a one-way system, taking drugs and smashing into schools. Those people exist. So we need a legal system that says don't do that, because that's how we function as a society. So again, opposing the legal system doesn't mean we get rid of the legal system, because we need some kind of legality. My purpose is we take money out of the legal system, because that money is funding Trident submarines and wars all over the world, whether you like it or not. Our governments are they're not paying the nurses £30 an hour. They're not taking care of old people. They're not building schools and youth clubs with that money. They're building 2 Trident submarines at the moment in Scotland, costing £1 trillion. I don't want my time and energy, my musical talent and energy that I'm accumulating through the skills and God's gift natural talent to go and build a warhead. So I'm simply eradicating that and saying, no, when there's a leader who is saying solar panels on everyone's roof, schools, nurses on £30 an hour, doctors, everyone above £5 million income pays more tax than everyone else. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Until that leader says those things, this is my money. Thank you so much. Because why would you be funding a tyrannical government? It just makes no sense to me.
Okay, let me ask something on that. If our government stops being tyrannical, but all the other governments in the world are.
Yeah, well, this is a step-by-step process for all the governments in the world. But the revolution will happen one at a time.
It almost can't, though.
It will.
Because they've all got to sit together and agree. Because if one of them shows a lack of power, humans are greedy, especially with power, as you know, the others are going to step on them.
Yeah, but I don't mean they can't have a military and protect their home nation. I'm talking about taking care of the people in their country.
No, I agree.
Look at Sweden.
I agree.
No one's attacking Sweden. They dropped their 40-hour work week down to 30 hours with the same salary. So they've gained 8 to 10 hours a week with their families. And everyone gets paid the same. So it's about the systems within the country that improve the well-being in the nation. So the Prime Minister of Sweden walks to work, goes to Starbucks and gets a coffee and then goes into her office. That sounds like a country I'd live in. Our ones have bulletproof glass everywhere and are protected by the Special Secret Service. Why? Because they're not doing the job. They're just simply not doing the job. If you're not doing a job, you need a bulletproof car.
Where does that come from, though? And let me explain when I said, can you just remind me of something? So if you went to Dubai, you would also see the royal family or the king or whatever walking in the mall on their own without loads of armed security, and everyone loves them.
Yeah, because they're abundant. Although it's very controlled. There's a lot of
crazy...
No,
but so
do they love them? Or are they scared of them?
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Are you really love that guy over there with all the money in the world? Or are you scared of him? Am I not attacking that guy because I love him? Or am I not attacking that guy because I get my head cut off?
But what about Sweden? Is that not the same principle?
Well, Swedish people demand it from their government because the Swedish people are brilliant people. They're innovators. They're calm. They're healthy. I don't know what it is about the Swedes. I've been to Sweden many times, and it's just a next level of the school systems. They hired a child psychologist to run education, not some minister who went to Eton. They hired an actual child psychologist who specializes in children's development to run the government area of education. So they designed the schools in a healthy way, and they got the right teachers in place. People who love the subject aren't just pigeonholed into teaching. So it's all of these little tiny changes that create a culture. And our culture isn't great. British culture is not great. Great Britain is now just Britain. And you could say that they named it Great Britain as a part of the game plan.
Okay, so why are you still here when you could be anywhere?
Because if you're going to help people, go to the place that's worse affected. I could go and live in India and just eat mangoes all day, play music, and go, wow, this is a great life. I did it for months, if not years.
Is it a great life, though?
Yeah. What? No stress, no worry, no concern. Yeah. But the human condition is that we want to solve problems. We want to help others. I'm a man of service, so I teach guitar and I entertain people and I talk in public. And my whole sense of being as I started waking up was to be in service. It was never about me, what I can gain from it. It's nothing to do with me at all. It's just a channel through which I can serve people and any way that I can, like you with the charities. You're in a position where you're able to help and raise money for charity. As part of your nature is to serve and help other people. And you gain along the way as well. You gain notoriety and recognition, you've got money and you've got businesses. But that's the after effect of your intention to help others. You're not saying, oh, I'll help others so that I can be this person. You're just simply using it as a vehicle.
I think it was a Muhammad Ali quote where he said, service to others is the rent you pay on this earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't always get it right. And when you have alternative opinions to what the narrative of the media are kicking out, it looks, I mean, they crucified Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Like, he came here teaching love and healing and inspiration and they put him on a cross.
Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you believe in religion, I should say?
No. Does religion exist? Yes.
Exist how?
Well,
because it's a belief system.
It is, but I don't believe...
It's not tangible.
I don't believe in religion, but I know religion exists. Just like I don't believe in that cup, but I know it exists. There's no reason to have a belief in it if it exists. Again, this is where we break down belief systems and assumptions, because you don't have to believe in something for it to exist. It just simply exists. Religion exists. The Bible exists. The Quran exists. The Upanishads exist. The Bhagavad Gita exists. It exists. Don't need to believe in it. I can read all of it and understand it perfectly. But again, don't need to form the belief that it's the truth.
Have you read any of them?
All of them.
You read all of them?
Every single thing I could find for 10 years.
And the overriding message in all of them?
Depends on who's interpreting them. Because if you give a Bible to a drug addict in the street, he might think Jesus is some savior who's come to save him. He's got to repent for his sins and he's going to worship Jesus. But that's not what Jesus wanted him to do. Jesus wanted him to take care of himself and love himself and serve others and heal others. But if you put Jesus on a pedestal, you're stuck in a trap. This is what I have a problem with all the Christians I have, is stop placing Jesus on a pedestal and worshipping him, because at no point did he say to do that. He also never mentioned any churches. So if you're going to church, there was no churches when Jesus was around. He wasn't saying, hey, everyone start building buildings in my name and go into it and pray to me. Why would he do that?
Well, there's no mention of anything like that in the Bible.
No, he was born during the time of Judaism. So he was opposed to Judaism.
But doesn't it all come back to control, even with religion?
Oh, religion has become control. Like Muhammad, when you look at what Muhammad was teaching, it's women empowerment and love. Truly, 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 to liberate women from the bondage of the caste system, and to love. The poetry of Rumi and Muhammad was that of love. Now you go to Saudi Arabia today. It's complete opposite. Controlling totalitarian, women are kept secret and treated as second-class citizens and slaves. They're saying that Allah is the supreme thing. Like, they've completely misinterpreted the purpose for their own ill-gotten gains, which is male dominance, patriarchy, misogyny, and control. Power, hungry, which is all ego stuff. It's all ego. It's all ego. Religion is ego. You don't need to be religious to be loving. You don't need to go to a church to love someone or love your community. You don't need to go to a temple or a synagogue or go to walk around a black cube in Mecca in order to extend charity to a homeless person in a loving way. You don't need to force a book onto someone to be loving. You just be loving. Loving is a natural state of being. It doesn't require any religion. I'm not a religious person in any way, shape, or form. But I try and extend inspiration, love, and excitement, happy and uplift to as many people as I can as I go about my day. And if I get to the end of my day and I go, I kind of did that well, and I could do that better, and I'll try that again. I don't need to go and read a book and say this is the definitive truth of reality.
But if someone did to be loving and caring,
yes,
then you had no issue with it, would you?
Perfect. Are they being loving? This is my question to all religious people. Are you acting in a loving way? Believe whatever you want to believe. Believe that Allah is the supreme ruler. Believe that Muhammad is there.
But a loving way can also be misinterpreted, no?
Yes. Yeah, like a great analogy is there's a monkey standing beside a river and he looks in and he sees a fish. And the monkey says, oh, please let me help you before you drown. And he puts him in a tree. You see? So the monkey's perspective, we live in trees. He's thinking the fish is drowning, so he puts it in a tree. So before you go out and try and help anyone, make sure you know who you're helping. Make sure you are actually helping them. Or maybe you don't say anything at all. Sometimes the most loving thing you do is just leave someone alone. And discernment is knowing the difference between, am I generously helping someone? Like people who give homeless people money and then film it.
Mm-hmm. Virtue signaling.
Yeah, just help that person. Don't get your phone out and film it.
But
just
isn't
simply go and help that person.
Isn't the same awareness that you speak of also creating that monkey story in a way? So you're aware you want to help.
Yeah.
But you're aware from your perspective,
mm-hmm.
your interpretation of it.
That's right. I'm filtering reality through my mind, through my heart, through my emotions.
But as long as that exists in humanity,
yes,
it's never going to be okay as such. Because the interpretation is always going to go off. You know, we might have stints of it where it runs okay.
Yeah.
And then you get a little 1% veer off from someone.
Yeah.
And over 100 years, we're back to here.
That's right. And apparently that's how it's always been. It's been in cycles of growth and collapse, tyrannical governments, rulers, emperors, collapse.
Is there a period, though, in history that it's more okay than now in terms of, you know, you talk about a collapse, but whenever I see collapse in terms of a leadership going, or, you know, whether that be on the streets, whether that be government, there's a power vacuum and someone steps in very, very quickly. It's not left collapsed.
No. It's immediately picked up by the next person who has all the best intentions in the world. Mm-hmm. They're like, I will be the next person. But if you've ever read Animal Farm by George Orwell, the pigs always take over. And they always smoke the cigars and put the hats on, and they always become over. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And this is the issue we have with humanity. This is why talking about legal system and the lawful system always leads me to mental and emotional health techniques. Purifying the mental and emotional body gets rid of the greed, the hate, the resentment, the control, the manipulation, the need to dominate others is all in the human psyche. And like, for example, the fulfillment of a leader is different from a politician. A leader should be getting out of bed every day with the sole intention of just taking care of his people. That is what he gets paid. He gets paid as he goes to bed at night, no money involved, no payment, no investments, no shady deals. Just, I'm going to sleep at night knowing that everyone I took care of today is provided for. Mm-hmm. That is a leader. That isn't a politician. Politics is about moving things and shaping things and edging things this way and talking and debating and left versus right and blue versus... And that's all bollocks. That's all bollocks. That's all just the matrix. A true leader doesn't need money. No, I don't need money. I don't need money. Put a statue of me in the square after I die saying, great job, Chris. Don't pay me. Just give me a house, organic food in the morning, some water and transport, and I'll take care of the rest. That guy will get shot immediately. Mm-hmm. Because that's the true leadership. Now, if you've got 10 of those people, or maybe 50 of those people, now the government are going to start sweating because those people don't need money. They'll just shut down oil companies by putting solar panels on everyone's roof. Everyone's roof. 27 million homes. 27 million solar panels would half the energy consumption. Solar panels exist and they produce electricity, which means if you want to help everyone in your country, simply put solar panels on everyone's roof for free. There you go, taxpayers' money, solar panels. Just come and collect your solar panels from your local depot. We're manufacturing them as quickly as we can. There you go, stick them on your roof. Half everyone's energy consumption straight away, just by a simple act of... Now, it's not the most effective thing in the world. They're not always generating better things. But if you want to help the people that are in your constituency or help the people in your country, think of innovative ways of using modern technologies to actually help them. Nuclear submarines are not helping people.
No, I agree with you on that. I'm just thinking that the civilization as we know it would collapse if a leader like that got into power.
The current system would collapse, yes, but that's what I'm after. I'm an Aquarian and I'm thinking a utopian society. It's very pie in the sky, but one thing I know about manifestation and belief, which is, I may be the only one saying this, but if 100,000 people said it, it would happen. So
I don't think you're the only one, to be fair. And as I said earlier, I feel like there's more and more people saying it.
More and more.
But what I do feel with these conversations is 99.9% of it are just words.
And it's action.
I've not seen any action from... I mean, I've seen a few people lay in front of a car wearing an orange coat.
Yeah.
But I'm not about that.
Part of action is ground up, grassroots, community-based action. Like Planet Purbeck, Rob, over in the Purbex. He's starting Planet Purbeck, which is everything to do with the conservation of the Purbex. Animals, welfare, community, charity. He's focused his intention on the home that he loves and the home that he lives in. And he's making waves. He's putting on a festival every year, and he's getting ocean cleanup crews around the Purbex, and he's taking care of the animals. And if he can do it in one area, 100,000 people around the UK straight away are revolutionizing the country. And we don't need to go to Downing Street with a pitchfork and say, right, let's take over. We just simply do it.
Take responsibility for yourself.
I'm an educator. I'm an auditor. I sing, I speak, I talk, I explain complex things in a simple way. My action is going on podcasts and talking and making content. I'm not meant necessarily be the one who goes and does the thing in Downing Street or takes over Westminster, although I'd love to do that. That'd be a fun thing to do. Maybe one day. I'm only 40. But it's all about the tiny, tiny micro movements that we move towards a better society. We're moving towards, like, for instance, I know people in hospitals need helping, but I'm just appalled that nurses make £14.50 an hour. It makes me feel sick. It makes me feel sick that all of the people in our country that take care of all of the sick and injured and ill are on virtually minimum wage and are struggling to pay their bills. These people, without them, we're all going to be sick and die. And health, as you well know, is the most valuable thing that we have, because without health, who cares about money? If you're ill in hospital, dying of, you're not thinking about how much money you're going to make. You know that. Yeah. So if health is the highest level of the most important thing that we have, let's pay the people who make us healthy more money. It's a simple logic thing. Let's not get the people in the hospitals who are taking care of us to be stressed about money.
So why do you think they're not?
Because they're collapsing the NHS deliberately. They're sinking it. They're filling the bulkheads full of water to sink it so that they can privatize like America. And they're setting up all the systems, all the bandage companies, all the doctor surgeries, all be private in the next 10 years because we, the people of England, are just allowing it to happen.
Why are they taking so long to do it, though? Like, if I was the government, COVID would have been the perfect example to screw the NHS and start.
Yeah, but they are doing that. It's totalitarian.
Just taking, like, people have been saying that they're getting rid of the NHS for 5 years. It doesn't take 5 years to collapse the NHS.
They've been getting rid of the NHS for 20 years.
It doesn't take that long to collapse it.
Of course it does. Because you want to do it without anyone noticing. Totalitarian tiptoe. It's not totalitarian.
They're not doing it without people noticing, are they?
I know, but it's not so noticeable that it's going to cause a riot. They're just doing it that change at a time, and then that week they do that, and then they just change that thing that month, and then that thing changes, and then next year they'll have a meeting about it, and then that month they'll do that. And it's so slow and gradual that you hardly notice it at all.
By the time you do it, it's too late.
It's already too late. They've already... Dentists, look at dentists. Trying to find an NHS dentist is virtually impossible.
I've not been to one I didn't realise they existed still.
Well, they should exist because it's part of our healthcare system that existed, and now they don't. All dentists are private, and they charge, well, I'll have £500 to do a filling, please.
Yeah, big money, yeah.
Big money. So capitalism and healthcare shouldn't be allowed to exist. You shouldn't be allowed to capitalise on illness. That's horrible. What a horrible planet to live on.
I agree.
Where you can capitalise on some of the poorest families and the people... Now, I'm lucky to be in the position I am financially, but it doesn't mean I don't look and see people in poverty who have horrible teeth because they just simply can't afford to go to the dentist. That's the country we're living in. If I was the Prime Minister, I'd be ashamed of myself. I'd be like, no, if you're going to become a dentist, you must do, like lawyers can do pro bono work. Mm-hmm. Every single dentist must take on people of a lower income. You have to. That's the law. I'm passing the law now. I'm the Prime Minister. I've got the cabinet to agree. And that's the law. I don't care. If you don't like it, go to another country. You want to go and be a privatized, go somewhere else.
That's a dictatorship, isn't it?
No. That's best for the well-being of the country, isn't it? It's not a dictatorship.
Well, it's one person deciding, though.
No, it's a cabinet of people deciding that their constituents need dental care. Mm-hmm. So it's from the bottom up, not from the top down. It's looking out, seeing everyone has bad teeth and they need healthcare. Okay, people need healthcare. Okay, what do we do as leaders? We tell the people who can provide it that they're not allowed to charge £500 for a filling. You're not allowed to do that. And if you want to do that, your freedom is to go to another country where you can do that. That's the freedom we're granting you. Go and live in a country where you can be a tyrannical capitalist dentist. But if you want to actually provide for the country and the nation that you're in, allow people to have a £50 filling. There's no skin off your nose. You already live in a house with 3 Mercedes. There's a whole row of street of people here who need dentistry. Where is your heart in this dentistry? I'm just using dentistry as an example, but where is your heart in your profession? Where is it? Am I a musician because I want to make money very quickly? Do I want to go and do a 45-minute set for X amount of hundreds of pounds? Yeah, it's great, but where's the fulfillment in that? It's making people sing. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing it because that moment when people are singing Don't Look Back in Anger, oh, Sally, that moment where people are not worried about their lives, they're not thinking about anything, they're just in a moment of ecstasy, that's why I do that job. The dentist should be going into work and fixing people's teeth so they can see people smile. That's why he should be doing that job. Only. Oh, and the money goes in the bank regard. The money goes in the bank. Don't worry about the money. But he should be saying, I want to get everyone in this town with healthy teeth. I want that as my first priority. Just like when I go to a pub, I want everyone in this pub to have a good time. That's my priority. It's not my...
The problem you've got is like, and I'm only challenging you, I'm a strong believer of service to others. I've been brought up that way. Mm-hmm. It's hardwired into me. That's when I get the most fulfillment.
Yeah.
And I'm only challenging you because in reality, like, how much of these ideas are just ideas and would be in a fairy tale book, but in reality wouldn't work?
But if everyone believed it, it would work. This is why it's important that I say it. Because I may be just 1 or 2, 15, 20 people that you know who are saying it. But if we all come together and say it really loudly, maybe we'll go, oh yeah, you know what? Then 50,000 people might believe it.
But you've also got, like, you know, it's no different to if you look at politics.
Yeah.
Conservatives and Labour. You know, you've got such a vast disparity between belief and not belief, but how the country should be run, who should get the money, who should pay the tax, where that money should go. These people, you can't even agree with your neighbour. How are you going to get a whole nation to agree on something?
Because it's loving. Because it's not...
As a theory, yes, I'm like all for it. I just don't know how it becomes...
Because it's loving. Because it's a loving thing to do. And I want to live on a planet with loving people. That's the truth. I want to live on a planet where people aren't doing everything for themselves, but we're providing for our neighbor and helping the person. Like Facebook, Swanage Matters, this lovely little thing that we have on Facebook. We're now laughing. We're laughing, right? Let me tell you, like, it's a smorgasbord of complaints, right? And it's comedy to me. It's comedy.
Really good to watch.
It's comedy. It's great, right? So I've now decided that I'm going to go on and counter, because I used to just keep my mouth shut. And now I'm like, no, things need to be said. So I'm going on and ridiculing and laughing at and pointing at things. I'm saying, is this a joke? Why are you taking... So there's chips on the floor and you're complaining about it. You know, a pavement slab's out of alignment. Who cares? You know, like, just perspective. But I'm developing the ability to say what I think in a loving way so that other people go, oh, you know what? That's a really interesting way of putting it. I never thought of it that way. Well, maybe we should all think this way. Just a little bit. Not like Alan Watts used to say, and Jordan Peterson and all of these people, as if you have an obligation to say it. We all have an obligation to say what we think and feel is right. And I just happen to think in terms of equality and unity and community and love. I want everyone to experience those experiences because they're coursing through my body all the time. So I'm developing the ability to say what I feel, the confidence to say, this is wrong. This is a wrong way of the system. This part of the system is not right.
This is what I'm saying, though. You happen to align with those things.
Yes.
That are positive and loving and healing. And
yes.
There's someone that aligns with hate and racism and murder and rape. And
yeah, and you've seen Star Wars.
Yes.
The light always triumphs over darkness.
But those people, if you said to them, act on a way that you believe is right.
It's not a command. It's just a suggestion. And if they want to walk over there and hate someone, then that's their prerogative. Just don't go into politics, please. Let's get more loving people in politics. Let's get more uplifting, inspirational, and excited people about life in politics who are taking care of people. Because you can't really take care of millions of people unless you're in a position to do so. I can't take.
But why do you think people get into politics?
Because of lots of different reasons. Family, pressures, Richard Drax, his dad's. You know, we're all, you know, why are politicians in power? Because they want to gain control or continue a family lineage.
But what I'm trying to get my head around is if
do I believe that the MPs generally and authentically who get voted in are genuine people? Yes. Do I feel that when they get to Westminster, they learn the truth of politics? Yes. So this lovely woman who's running in a local, she's been voted in. She's a lovely woman. She loves everyone. And then she goes to Westminster, and after 2 years, she's like, this is a tough gig. And she becomes conditioned to the institution. And all of a sudden, they're like, hey, come, Carol, come over here. If you vote for this thing, we can sort you out this little thing. You don't have to worry about anything, and your family will be taken care of. Oh, no. It takes a very strong person to say, oh, no, thank you. What? My whole family will be taken care of, and I get a backhander. After years of meeting politicians in Westminster over and over again, you just become like that. So that it takes a very strong individual to say, no, not only am I not going to take this, I'm calling you out. Yeah, I'm not just not going to take your offer, I'm calling you out, and I'm going online now to say that you're full of shit. They're the people we need in politics. And who cares what happens after that? More and more people do that, the whole system will collapse within itself. But while everyone's got their mouth shut and they're just taking backhanders and stuff like that, second homes and holidays, and lobbyists send them to the Caribbean for 2 weeks and weak people shouldn't go into politics. If you can be bought, don't go into politics, because you're not helping. You're actually not helping anyone.
This is what I was trying to get to. So, like,
could I convince you to hurt someone for money?
No.
Yeah, nothing. No amount of money.
Not for money. No.
Could I convince you to manipulate the population of Bournemouth for your own gains? And I mean in a negative way.
Not in a negative way, but you'd argue that a type of selling an event, a promotion is you're influencing them, not manipulating them.
Inviting them,
but influence them to say that you're going to have a great time here.
Yeah.
But for you to come, I need X.
Yes. And that's perfect.
But I genuinely, wholeheartedly sleep at night believing that they're going to have a good time.
And they will.
Like, I don't wake up, I don't like take all their money and then the next day go, fuck you lot, yeah.
No, because you're booking, you've got Dizzy Rascal this year, right?
Yeah.
You've got Dizzy coming down, you've got DJs, the amount of setup, like you know that when you stand on that stage at that night, everyone's blasting it. Yeah. Like, it's in the...
That's part of my fulfillment with that industry.
That's right.
So having an idea like this, sat down with you now, watching the idea materialize, watching the joy and fun and dancing in people's faces, that for me outweighs the money.
Yeah.
The money is the byproduct of that creation.
That's right. You actually just want to stand with the DJ and the crowd and
just watch
and
them
be like, this is it.
Like, state of...
We did it. We did it. I know. And it's the same with me. If I got a pub full of people singing Don't Look Back in Anger, I don't think about money. I just want to see those faces light up and go, yes, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And that is the reason I do that work.
What I was going to say earlier is, like, I have friends that are counsellors. I mean, friends is probably a strong one, but I have people that I know that are counsellors. And we've had conversations about them going, oh, why don't you join this? And why don't you join us? And why don't you? And the same thing I ask them every time is, ask myself and I ask them, where can I make most change? Like real change. Can I make most change inside the establishment or outside as a private individual with, say, influence, money, and unfortunately some power?
I think
inside, I feel like I wouldn't be able to make any change, because the reason why, as you said, my intentions are X and I'm going around lobbying to get votes. But as soon as I get into that cabinet, I have to follow my peers, because otherwise I'm out of this. I lose my seat.
That's right.
So I'm going to lose my seat. So then if I'm getting into it and I'm following what they're saying, what the fuck's the point of getting into it?
There's no point. The current system is so broken and corrupt that anyone going into it is going to get sucked into a black hole or bureaucracy. And that's not how we do things up here. And you've got so much to learn. This is how it's done up here. And this is an institution. We've been doing this for 500 years. My father's father did this. You're like, oh, who do you think you are down here coming here? Like, blah, blah, blah. You know, like that's how politics is run. That's why politics is a complete waste of time. Leadership is different. You're a leader.
Hi, guys. While I've got you, I wanted to announce an exciting new sponsor for the show. For those that know me or listen regularly, you'll know that I'm a big combat sports fan. And some of my favourite kit to use when training is by a brand called Venom. Fellow combat sports fans will know Venom as the UFC's official outfitting apparel partner. They have clothing and equipment for MMA, boxing, Muay Thai and BJJ. However, what I'm most excited about is their new lifestyle range, some of which I'll be rocking on the show. It's a privilege to partner with a global brand such as Venom. Will it make me a better athlete? Probably not, but at least I'll look good doing it. Can you name me one leader, past and present, that you valued or thought they were doing right or well, maybe before they were killed or something? Is there anyone in history that you kind of resonate with more?
There's been so many leaders, but they've never made it into government.
Okay.
Because govern means to control. Ment is the mind. Mentis. mental state. Mind control, government. It's so simple. So there's no point in heading in that.
All the word games with me.
It's true. But remember, authority comes from author, to write, authority. So they've gained authority over us by writing stuff down, and we followed it. That's all it is. If you can't read, you don't have to follow in the rules. But if you're walking on, for instance, you're walking across a piece of grass in Bournemouth Park and it says, do not walk on the grass. You read it, understand it, and then step off the grass. You go to Japan, you're walking on a piece of grass, it says, Hong Hi Hong Kang Gagwon. You don't know what it says, you just carry on walking on the grass.
Was that in Japanese?
No. Just an example. Apologies to all the Japanese people. But my example is this: if you don't understand something, you don't have to do it. Now, so a Japanese person might say, hey, blah, 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 and you're like, I don't know what this says.
It's ignorance, right? If you don't understand it.
Yeah, this is why when I teach legal stuff, I'm just simply don't understand anything. There's nothing anyone can do to you. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Well, I've made it really clear to you. This is the laws, and I don't understand what it means. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand? I just simply don't understand what you're saying. Well, it's this, and this. Sorry, I'm just not getting it. I'm sorry. I just simply don't understand it. There's not an individual king, queen, or ruler in the world that can make you understand something if you simply don't want to understand it. So when I go into court, they want you to stand under their authority. You see? So by understanding them, you're standing under them and they're above you. But if you don't understand them, I don't understand what you're saying, they don't have any power. No one has any power if you don't understand.
Do you think the judges genuinely understand some of that language?
Oh, yeah. They know exactly what they're doing.
Really?
I've had some really great conversations with judges. Like one judge, he said...
So if you were saying it to him, would you say, I don't stand under you? Or would you say, I don't understand you?
I just play dumb. I don't understand.
But they know what you're doing.
Yeah. But I also know what they're doing. So like checkmate, you know. So the whole purpose, imagine the courtroom is a chessboard and you're going into the situation playing chess. And they're always trying to gain authority over you or form joinder. And joinder is you unknowingly forming an agreement with them. Like, all rise. You stand up. What you just done as you're told. So you're granting them the authority to do as you're told. State your name.
What do you say at that point?
I don't. Just don't talk. Don't answer questions. I'll ask the questions. Thanks very much. That's true. That's what you do. Why would you want, like King Henry?
So they say, state your name. What do you say? No.
I say, no, just don't say anything. I just go, no. No, because they want you to say the name. And if you look at what the legal word means for name, they want you to say your trust account. The word name is your trust account. You say your name.
You used to say to me something along the lines of, when you're born, obviously, you're given that certificate, right?
Birth certificate, yeah.
Yeah. And then that's your kind of, what was it you used to say? That's like your corporation.
That's your
business.
They're setting up, you become a commodity in the Crown Corporation. You're actually a product in the Crown Corporation. It says copyright, Crown copyright at the bottom of your birth certificate. It's a copyright certificate.
So they own you.
They own us. They own us. Imagine that. Imagine a living being giving birth to another living being, and then that living being signing a document, giving away, because the word register means to give up the rights of. That's what the word register means. So if you
don't have any children, do you?
No.
If you had children, would you not sign the birth certificate?
Absolutely not. Why would I give my children, my living, breathing, conscious, spiritual, intelligent being that I've co-created with my partner, why would I then give it to a Crown Corporation government? It doesn't make any sense to me.
But without that, they get no NHS, no schooling, no nothing.
That's fine.
No driving license, no bank account.
We can have a bank account. It's private business. You don't need a birth certificate to go and have a bank.
I suppose bank account you couldn't, but you know what I mean? Like they've made it in a way that you can almost not function.
Exactly. And it's been very challenging for me over the last 10 years. But I don't care, because in 100 years we'll all be dead. So what are you doing with your time?
What about marriage? As in, not what it means, but the actual signing of marriage certificate.
I've been married. I would never do it again. Love someone unconditionally. Devote your life to them. Be loyal. Be trustworthy. Provide for them. Protect them. Love them. Listen to them. Hold them. Do everything you can for them. At no point do you have to involve the government in that. The government have insidiously invited themselves into every aspect of our life. And that's why it seems like we're in a spider web, we can't get out of it. Oh, if I give up my legal identity, then I can't achieve anything. Well, guess what? Totalitarian tiptoe has been creeping in since 1667, since the birth certificate.
Is that when it started?
Yeah. year after the Great Fire of London, 1666.
Early that. I bet they use that fire of London as an excuse as well, so we can monitor.
Burn
who's
all the
around.
records, baby. Start again. Listen, this has been going on. This is hundreds of years. This is hundreds.
When we did the marriage certificate, we did it at the registry office because we were originally going to get married in Mallorca or somewhere abroad where it didn't count. And I remember then thinking, like, fuck, they've ripped the love out of this, because you're sat in two separate rooms. You get questioned a little bit to make sure you really like know each other and love each other.
Yeah.
Then you sign this document.
You got to prove to someone else that you love someone.
Yeah, and then you sign this document that ultimately doesn't change anything. All it says is that through sickness and good health. So you would have done that anyway, but now you're actually breaking a law if you don't do that.
Yeah, you're breaking a contract.
Yeah, you're breaking a contract. So if you wanted to be a prick and go and cheat, you'd have cheated. And morally, it's the same thing, right? But now you've signed a contract saying you're not going to.
So now the government can lean in and go, oh, we can decide where your assets go now. Because you broke a contract. You broke the agreement.
Yeah, that whole element there was nothing loving about that.
No.
I don't mean the ceremony part of the wedding. I mean the actual signing of that contract, your certificate, the rules they read you.
It's absolute bullshit. It's bullshit. They've
literally
they've injected themselves into every aspect of the life. Now, the education system and the legal system are one system. Schools and law are one system, because you can't enforce laws without educated population. That's right. If you've got a bunch of people who don't understand the alphabet, how are you ever going to show them the rules and regulations? So
they're not even teaching our kids for the right reasons, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but we think, oh yeah, all these lovely subjects. No, they're teaching us how to put our hand up if we need to go to the toilet. Right, a natural process, a part of biology. We're the only species on the planet that asks permission to pee. No other species, no dog, frog, animal, chimpanzee asks permission when they need a dump. That is a fact. But we, in our infinite intelligence, put our hand up at school to go to the toilet. Straight away, we're in a system, we're in a regime.
But you need systems.
Systems create success.
You need systems, right?
But
civilization wouldn't work. A community wouldn't work without.
But why can't I just go to the toilet if I'm 6 years old and I need to go for a pee? Why can't I just get up and go to the toilet and come back? Why do
I get that at home, but in a classroom, I guess, would they say it's disruptive? If everyone started doing that, they're not going to be able to teach anything.
Yeah, but if it's a great environment to be in, if it's a natural, loving, amazing, uplifting, inspirational environment to be in, they're not going to want to avoid to be there, are they? They're going to want to be there.
Very
so
true.
They'll be like, I'm just going to the toilet, miss. Okay, cool. You go to the toilet, do your bit, you come back, you sit back down, you get pinned up, and you're like, hey, so like you're back in the game. You know, you want to be there. But if it's like a totalitarian, you got to do this and you can't do that. Oh, they're looking out the window, they're scratching their heads, like bored. They were thinking about video games. Like everything about the system is just preparing us to work and pay tax. That's everything. The school system is literally designed so that you go and get a job and you pay taxes. They don't promote entrepreneurship. They don't promote like sustainability, how to grow vegetables. There's nothing about the education system is actually education. It's all just remember these facts and figures, go get a job, decide on what you want to do when you pay us tax. Well done. You can do anything. Go and do anything you want, but you will pay us tax because we need your time and energy to buy nuclear warheads. It's very controversial, but it is the truth.
No. Listen, there's.
Are there nice people in the government? Yes. I'm not saying it's the people versus the government, because the people in the government are people. Just like when I talk about the police in my seminars, I say the police are doing the hardest job in the country. They are. They're dealing with vagrants and drug addicts and murderers and rapists, and nobody wants to do that job. They're doing that job. So first of all, respect the police immediately. They have a very challenging job. Second of all, they go home and have barbecues with their children. Like they're human beings. There's this big movement of the community, like anti-police, and look what they're doing. And it's no, they're humans like us. Chill out. Just relax straight away. What we have to do is humanize the police force. So they're not these robotic people going around that we're afraid of, but that's Dave and Charlie, and they've got kids and they're going on holiday next week, and they're just normal people who have a challenging job. If we take that approach to the police, we can actually work in. Instead of, oh, the police there, oh, the Ros is there, all right, let's drive. Oh, am I going 30 miles an hour? Oh, okay. Instead of panicking over it. And that's why when I talk to the police, I just talk to them, what do you do at the weekend? What time do you finish your shift? You guys got any kids? Human stuff. Because then they're like, oh, this guy's all right, cool. They're not.
Some of them don't accept that very well, though, do they?
Oh, I don't care. Just keep doing it.
I do it as well.
I've sat in the police stations in handcuffs, talking to police endlessly about life, and then eventually they soften. They do soften eventually, even the hard ones.
Remind me something you used to say, Chris, about this whole thing with the Magna Carta and the Queen. Was that a thing, or is that an old mentality now that you've...
It evolves. Like the law I'm happy to talk about the law, but it's irrelevant to me now. Everything I do is in a private trust. Everything I do. So the Magna Carta is an ancient document, and it's truly is Article 61, which is...
That was it.
Article 61, which is the lawful right to opt out of the legal system. King John said, look, I'll provide all of these things for my nation as an agreement, because the Baron War, the First Baron War and the Second Baron War, because the barons were also losing control, because King John was a tyrannical prick. So even the barons that were working between the people and the king were upset. He pissed off the barons. So then the barons made him sit down and sign a document to say, yeah, it's got to work for everyone or it's not going to work at all. And part of the article is the get out clause, a bit like on the direct debit. You know, you got 31 days to get out of it.
Yeah.
And the Article 61 is a legitimate law in the Kingdom of England to say, if you're not happy with what the government's doing, you can just say, oh, that's not for me, thanks. And you incite Article 61 and you just say, no, thank you. No, I'm good, thanks. You guys carry on, though. You guys, you're doing a great job. If your neighbor wants to be in the system, that's fine. That's nothing to do.
Is that real?
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Lawful rebellion, it's called.
The Magna Carta is very, very old.
Yeah, 1215.
Is there nothing that's come up since that has replaced that?
Governments are trying their ass off to change our constitution, but you can't change the constitution. Just like the American government is trying to change the Declaration of Independence to suit them. The bearing arms thing, the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms. The government now hate that. Wow, man, our forefathers really messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, this is going to go into a rabbit hole as well, but when that right to bear arms existed, you had a fucking gun that you filled up with gunpowder.
That's right.
And it took one shot every 15 minutes. You've got a geezer with an AR-15 or something now that can shoot 100 rounds a minute.
America is the most ridiculous country in the world because they've just taken a very simple idea completely out of hand 300 years later. Like, I've got the right to have automatic weapons. No, you don't have the right to have an automatic weapon. Take that gun off that lunatic.
A shotgun feels like a bit more old school still, where you got to reload it. You got two shots. It might be a defensive weapon.
Yeah.
But like having a semi-automatic or an automatic gun seems ludicrous.
It's ludicrous. That's why
a grenade launcher, like self-defense.
Yeah, Uzis. Yeah, it's a ridiculous place, America. I'm married to an American, lived in America, lived in LA, lived in Texas. It's a nuts place. Nuts place. But you can drive into
Texas is mad though, because everyone's moving there, mate.
Yeah, it's because the land, man. Land. Endless land. Endless potential oil as well.
Thanks to Joe Rogan, really.
Yeah, and if you have a ranch, you're free of the system. You think about it. You got a huge ranch. Put a big fence around it, do whatever you want.
Grow your own life.
Grow your own veg, put solar panels everywhere, got a water irrigation system. Life's good. Anyone comes onto your land, you can shoot them. Law. You have to threaten them first, though. You have to say, hey.
That's kind.
Yeah, you have to tell them first verbally, hey, I got a gun, but if you don't get off, I'm going to shoot you in the leg. Unless...
Now, this Article 61, I remember a time ago that you said you'd invoked it or tried to.
Yeah, I did. At the beginning stages, I went through the whole thing. I contacted the local baron, they exist, barons exist, and we contacted them. And
Do they?
Yeah, they all still the property class. They're like the landlords of the whole of Dorset. You've got the Drax family estate, and you've got all of these different levels.
Oh, yes, the Malham estate, etc. I think I had to deal with that when I'm going through planning.
Yeah, so there's like a hidden class. We think of the royal family, but most of the politicians now are part of the property class, and the property class are people they have been granted large portions of the United Kingdom to watch over it for the royal family. So the royal family's in contact with barons, because the barons look over, I'm talking lots of counties. Could be the southwest. There's one baron that takes care of 5 different counties, and this guy is a lord. He goes to the House of Lords and he sits there and he takes care of southwest England. And that's a class of people who's never discussed or talked about. But that guy's £100 million, £100 billion, and he collects rent, and he's got land people paying, and all of the councils pay him, and he gives the money to the king, and he's a baron. And not all the barons are on the royal family side. Some of the families don't agree with what the royal family did. And when the Queen, this is where the Queen messed up, when the Queen signed the European Courts Act to say that European courts can dictate over our land, she broke the Magna Carta. Because we're a sovereign nation. She's the sovereign leader of a sovereign nation. And she signed that another group of courts could look over our country. Everyone, all the barons were like, you can't do that. The Queen never replied. So all the barons wrote to the Queen to say, hey, you're not allowed to sign the European Courts Act. That's against the constitution of our country. And she never replied. So then they started invoking Article 61 to say, we're out. So we could contact the barons and say, we're with you. And that's what people were doing. Millions of people doing it.
It's interesting.
But the royals don't acknowledge it, because now we're out of Europe. They can technically say, well, we're out of Europe now. But can the court system still dictate our rules?
And when you did that Article 61, did it work as such, or not really, or is it like a theory thing? Do you see what I mean? Because
yeah, but look at it this way:
the copper on the beat on the street doesn't have this knowledge.
Yeah, but forget about that.
Yeah, but when you're going, I've invoked Article 61. 9 out of 10 of them are going to go, oh,
they don't
fuck,
care.
mate, you're still arrested. You got no number plates on.
But they're policy providers. They've been trained to follow policies, politics, policies, and policing. Poll. So the politicians create the policies that the police push. Poll. So they are just robots with numbers, Officer 61321, and they just don't even worry about the police. Who cares about the police? Police have no power. I always ask the police one question: do you have a degree in law? No. Then why would I listen to you? Are you legally trained? No. Then how are you enforcing the law? So just whatever the police are doing, the police are going to do what they need to do. The most important thing for anyone watching this is that if you ever get in a situation where the police don't say anything, none of their business.
What, no comment?
No, not even no comment. Don't say anything. Silence. I was in an interview room once, and it was like no tax, no MOT, no insurance. It was like I was 32, about 8 years ago. It was my third car, and they'd taken it off me, and they sat and I realized in this interview that the tapes that they make in the interview room get sent to the Crown Prosecution Service. Mm-hmm. So the Crown Prosecution Service listen to them to see if there's a case, to see if they can start an actual case. But if you don't say anything, it's just a policeman in a room on his own, right? Right? It's genius, right? So I'm sitting there, and he's like, okay, we're here with Mr. Christopher, and read me the charges. And can you ask the questions? And he went, the subject, Mr. Guttridge, is not, he's not responding, he's just sitting there. Not even breathing, mate. No sound. Like, he could have just been recording it on his own. So anyway, he says, well, he turned the tape off, and he goes, listen, if you, I said, well, stop. Why aren't you saying this on the tape? Why did you turn the tape off, say this? Why aren't you saying this on tape? And he goes, listen, mate. He says, right, and he got really arsey with me, and he goes, well, I said, why are you threatening me without a tape on? Put the tape on and say that, now. I said, you douchebag, like, come on. Like, and he went, right, and he put the tape back on. He's like, Christopher is not responding, and just silent. Anyway, nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. The warrant still went out for my arrest. It's still recycled within the police system, but nothing ever came of it in the court system.
Got you.
So the police system, they're still doing their due diligence. They're still doing their process.
So they're almost doing what they've got to do and handing you over, but that other side can't deal with it because of this.
That's right. Where's the evidence? The police are designed. Another thing is not all policemen interview. Only specialised interviewers go in. So I waited in police cells for hours waiting for the interviewer cop to come down.
That's right.
Because they are asking the right questions at the right time to get the information to convict you. They're designed to, you're actually convicting yourself by talking. Don't talk. Don't talk to policemen. Just say, are you legally trained? No, well then, until there's a lawyer with me or I'm talking to someone legally trained, who am I to answer your questions, right? You're not legally trained. So there's a whole bunch of language games you can play.
And then the other thing I was going to ask you, just because I think people find it interesting, obviously you might have changed it now, but I think I got out of, mate, it must have been over 100 parking tickets, thanks to you. And I don't mean like out of it in terms of they were chasing. They would
disappear.
They were stopping the charge.
Yeah.
The penalty charge notice. Now there was two, isn't there? There's a parking ticket, which is penalty charge notice, and then there's someone you'd get like from the parking eye, which is slightly different, which is a private firm.
Yeah.
Explain to me how and why those parking tickets couldn't fine me. Was it to do with the land? There was something.
Yeah. So it's councils are elected to manage public spaces, right? Parks, roadways, and we pay our officials to manage the land. So I don't know when this started. People forgot that we're the beneficiaries of the land, and we're meant to be benefiting from our land, and our councils are meant to be taking care of the land for us. That's what we pay them to do. At some point, we forgot that, or they convinced us that we work for them. Everyone's terrified of the council. I don't think councils are a bunch of people in rooms. To me, I don't really, whatever. I park wherever I want, do whatever I want. I'd never obstruct passageways, never obstruct traffic. That's the law. That's the law of the land. So then what happened with you is, if you ask questions, people just assume they get this piece of paper, and it's their assumption and fear that makes them pay the parking ticket. But if you just simply challenge it on a logical basis, thank you so much. Again, remedy, you're offering remedy and you're staying within honor. So you say, thank you so much for the parking ticket you sent me. Could you just let me know who owns the land, and I'll pay them directly. You're offering them a remedy. I'll pay the person who owns that land. Who owns the land? Well, we're the PCBBABB council. Like we own the land. You own the land? I thought you just managed the land. Don't we own the land? Don't people own the planet? Don't the people inhabit the planet? Aren't you guys just managing the land? Yeah, I know, but you're not allowed to park there. Why am I not allowed to park there? Who decided where we can park? Now, I get systems create success, and I know that we can't have everyone parking everywhere. But why am I being charged £35 for accidentally going over my ticket for £35? It's just slightly unrealistic. I ran back from Co-op one time in Ferndown, and I was 4 minutes, and the guy put a ticket on my car. It's not the planet I want to live on. I would never pay those tickets, ever. It's an unrealistic £35 for 4 minutes. Like, who's running this place? Hitler. Like, who's running it? So basically, asking questions is how you gain authority back from the authorities. Simply asking simple questions and offering them remedy. I'll offer you the money if you can give me the answer to this thing. Tell me who owns the land and I'll pay them. I'm happy to give £35 to the owner. They never get back to you because you are the owner of the land. You're the public, and it's a public space. Now I get double yellow lines and all this stuff we have to have, but the reason I'm pushing against it is because it's so extreme here. I lived in India for years. No double yellow lines in India. Also, no problem in India. Just, it's free. It's a free country. There's no parking tickets or speeding fines or stuff like that. Well, the
traffic is fucking awful.
Yeah, but I didn't see many accidents. There wasn't. People just organically know, and responsible people know where to put the car, and you don't. But here it's so regimented. It's so down to the point where that's for children and mothers, and that's for disabled, and that's for that, and you can only park there for 2 hours, and it's so regimented that we're all just pigeonholed into doing as we're told. And that's not, in my opinion, a constructive society. There's no freedom here at all. The illusion of, well, I can walk through a park if I want. You know, oh, well done. Yeah, but you had to pay. You had to pay to walk through the park. The park was maintained by you.
I remember, yeah. I think one of the ones, also depending on the council as well, right? Because some of them were a little bit more up together with what you were saying. But in Swanage, it always worked.
Always works.
I would email. I think you even sent me a template. I'd email something like, "So sorry, I parked where I shouldn't have. You know, if you let me know who owns the land, I'll pay them direct." And they used to say something along the lines of, "Oh, it's a public highway, and under this enforcement act," and I used to reply something along the lines of, "As a member of the public, I don't consent."
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they would reply going, "After consideration, we've removed this parking charge. Thank you."
Yeah, because consent is like, if it's consent, everything is consentable. Now, I don't cause a loss, harm, or injury, fraud anyone, or hurt anyone, because I know that my intention is to love. A lot of the laws just disappear. They just disappear. And I don't have fear about bailiffs coming over to my house or anything like that. I don't worry about those things.
What about the one with the parking, like the private ones? You used to say something about them. Could someone do with a contract? Was there an act?
Yeah, so it's a private business. So if you've got no contract or agreement with them, you've really got a leg to stand on. I always say to the parking eye, just take me to court and I'll okay it with the judge. Anything private, any institution, there's 2 things I do. First of all is I contact them saying, I've given all my power of attorney to the board of trustees of the trust. so I can't actually reply to your letter. I can't give you any details or any money or anything right now because power of attorney has been given to someone else. If you want to contact the board of trustees at this address, at this trust, they will deal with my issue. Thank you so much for getting in contact with me. Thank you. You just give your power of attorney to someone else. So then the private company has to make a decision. Do you know what I mean?
Can
like,
we be fucked?
Can we? It's £100 or whatever. Like, okay, we'll do it. So then they write to the trustees at the trust. Another thing in the original letter is I've signed a non-disclosure agreement to say that I can't discuss anything with you. So if you now ask me again, you're breaking the law. You know, I've signed an NDA. I cannot talk to you about this issue because I've given power of attorney to these people. Now that you know that, and here's the letter and the date, if you now contact me again asking for money, you're in breach of the law because you're trying to coerce me into breaking a legal contract. So then you've got the double-edged sword, which is, do we really want to do we contact this guy again and breach his contract? Or do we go to the board of trustees where we go into trust jurisdiction? So now you're in trust law because they've acknowledged the trust. Now they're in trust jurisdiction, and part of the board of trustees is that they get to ask questions to protect the beneficiary. So now I act as a beneficiary and the trustee. They don't know that. So then you act, thank you so much for your correspondence regarding our beneficiary, Mr. Chris, against this alleged fine or something like that. If you can just give us the original contract, the terms and conditions of the agreement you guys have, we'll make sure our lawyers look over it. And if he is in breach, we'll pay you. Thank you so much. Company gets that, throws it in the bin, deletes you from their system, and goes after people who don't know what they're doing.
Fuck.
Trust law.
So technically, if people follow these methods,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to pay a parking fine ever again.
No. You could save millions and millions and millions of pounds across the nation. Parking fines, think about it. We already pay licenses and fuel, and we have to apply to even drive our own vehicles. You're not even the owner of your car, you're a registered keeper. You don't even own your own car.
Yeah, they changed that like fairly recently.
Registered keeper.
The logbook used to mean you owned it, and then they started putting a bit of wording on it. It says, doesn't mean you're the owner, only means you're the registered keeper.
Yeah, but this is the fallacy, which is when you ask permission to do something, you're giving your authority to someone. So they train you at school to put your hand up and ask to go to the pee-pee, and then 20 years later, you're asking the king if you can drive your own car.
So you're not a royalist then?
I believe everyone's equal. So I respect King Charles as a human man. And I know that he has emotions and thoughts and feelings and stresses and worries. I know he's ill and he goes to the toilet and he loves his kids. I'm sure he's a great guy. If he was here now, I'd shake his hand and say, you're a top dude, well done. But do I believe he has authority over me? No. Do I believe he can tell me what to do? No, not at all. I'd just be like, who do you think you are? Like,
He said, I'm the King of England.
And I'd be like, I don't care. The only reason I'm scared of you is because you've got the special MI5 and armies obeying you. But I'm not afraid of you as a man. If it was a one-on-one fight, I'd kick his ass. Right?
I mean, he's probably double your age, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's still the fact. If it was a one-on-one fight against someone with authority, then it would be no question about
How do you know he doesn't do like jiu-jitsu or something?
You don't know what I'm doing. You can't do jiu-jitsu with no eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
Very true.
So it's kind of like it all boils down to this guy's convinced an entire nation that he's the sovereign. But he's not fooling me. Like, he's just a man. He goes to the toilet. You know? You think because he's the king, he doesn't have the same problems we have? I'd say he's got a way worse life than me. I would never want to be the King of England. It was a terrible life. Having to watch everything you say and keep everything a secret. Everything's behind closed doors. You're scared at night. You know, just like, it sounds great. Oh, unlimited money. I can fly anywhere I want. It'd be the worst life ever to be a high-profile royalist.
High profile anything, to an extent.
I understand. Like, when I see
high profile in general, I think is limiting.
Very limiting, because you're at the whim of everyone's opinions about you. Like Jordan Peterson, I always wonder. I love Jordan Peterson so much. I think he's an advocate for male mental health and psychology. He's just a genius, in my opinion. He's very strong and firm, and I always wondered why he wasn't doing more. I thought, man, you've got everyone at your whim. Why aren't you saying controversial things? But I also don't know what it's like to be at his level. I don't know what it's like to be worldly famous.
Jordan Peterson's a funny one for me because I've spent probably the last 5 years as well, like really, really enjoying his content.
Yeah.
but sometimes he gets too gaudy for me. So like, I like the clips that I see on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, and I like little snippets of it from podcasts, but everything obviously reverts back to a religion. And I think you can be good without that.
I'm also with you on that.
Yeah. So
that's the one thing about
the fundamentals of what he's saying, I do believe in, and I think they're very good messages, strong messages that are lost in modern age.
Yeah.
But it just always links back to like God. And I'm like, well,
that is the thing that about him that I go, that's his own misinterpretation of what he's teaching. He's filtering everything through biblical stuff. And that isn't relevant for everyone. So if you want to be someone who's relevant for everyone, you better keep it neutral. That's why I talk about mental health and emotional intelligence, is simply because everyone has mental health and everyone has emotions. I don't say Jesus said this too often. I don't say Muhammad did this too often, because I'm compartmentalizing my audiences. You're
dividing, aren't you?
Yeah, and he is a very biblical Christian-based ideology. He's filtering his reality through the Bible, and I understand the moral implications of being a biblical person, because you live by the 10 Commandments. You don't harm anyone, you don't comment, and that's fine. We should be living by a more moral, but that's not the only way of getting morals. I know a lot of beautiful Muslim people who live a very high idealistic life of love, and I know a lot of Buddhists, and I know a lot of Zoroastrians who are lovely people. So they're not filtering their reality through the Bible, and they're also equally valid.
Anyone that's strongly opinionated will divide, though. There's no way around that. You either stay like in the middle,
fence sitters, I call them.
You know what I mean? You either stay in the middle, and you get on with everyone and everything, and you sort of just go through life like that, or you stand for something which inevitably divides. There's no in between for me.
But if you stand for love,
like you stand for something right now, sat here today, you stand for quite a bit. You're talking about, we're going to go on to other stuff as well, but there'll be people listening to this that you're going to naturally divide. There's no way, because you've got strong opinions on stuff.
Yeah, I agree. But love is a universal principle. If it's for the better of all people, then it can't be disagreed with. Cannot be. If you're thinking about providing for everyone in a loving way, then surely everyone, who's this guy think he is providing for everyone in a loving way? Huh?
But people will still say that.
Yeah,
they will say it.
That's fine. That's fine. That's okay. It's okay, because I know
that's how mad it is.
That's how mad the planet is.
Yeah.
We're living in a time of insanity.
Yeah.
We're living in a time of cultural division. And like I always say, the first thing you said to me is, why is it like that? Because you watch television. No one's really thinking for themselves anyway. They've just been programmed.
Now, you spent 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it is, doing all the kind of Lawful Collective stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which is like one path in your life. And you sort of touched on it. And then now you've turned towards like emotional healing, mental health, spirituality. For me, it's like such a different pathway. How and why?
It's the same. It's the same topic. I started waking up, realizing governments were corrupt. I fought the system. I really stood up and believed in stuffing. And then I realized that my time and energy was valuable. I was like, man, I'm wasting all my time and energy fighting the government. I don't want to be a fighter. I want to be a lover. So let's go this way. How do you actually solve the system? By ignoring it. By simply ignoring it. Where you place your time and energy is where your energy flows.
Yeah.
And attention, where attention goes, energy flows. Do I want to fuel the government with my attention? No, I just want to look over here. So that was that point. I stood in court, and I'd been in court, and I'd fought. And I proved my point when the judge said, if you go back and get a tax, MOT, and insurance, he says, we're in the business of arresting you. That's our business. He says, we'll never stop. He says, do whatever you want. He says, you'll be in here every 5 minutes. We'll arrest you and bring you into this courtroom. This is the business we're in. I said, all right. He says, this is a waste of my time, I said to him. And he went, yeah. He goes, you're getting it, aren't you? And I went, I'm slowly getting it. And Martin was amazing. He was like, keep going. And I went, right, okay, I'll get a tax, MOT, and insurance. And he goes, bingo. And he was like, well done. I said, but I'm not paying the fines. He goes, don't worry about the fines. We just need you to do as you're told. I went, I'm not paying the fines. I said, because I have a private bank account and you have no access to it. So unless I give you my PIN or my card, there's simply no way of you getting the money. And he went, that's correct. And he says, he just looked at me, and I looked at him, and I went, and he goes, Cool. I said, and if you send me to jail for a civil matter, I'll sue you because this is not a criminal case. This is a civil, this is paperwork. He goes, correct. All right, so I'll get a tax, MOT and insurance. And he went, well done. I said,
You didn't pay the fines?
no, I didn't pay a penny. I left the courtroom after negotiating with him. And as I was leaving, he said, I don't want to see you here again, Mr. Guttridge. I don't want to see you here again. Do you understand? And I went, I don't think I'll ever come back to court again. And that was the moment. After 27 court cases and 6 cars and years of my family thinking I was a lunatic, I proved my point, which is, this is a big game. What have I been afraid of the whole time? Okay, cool. I don't need to do that anymore. Drew a line on it. Moved to India.
This is kind of what I was trying to touch on earlier. So like this parking ticket thing, it got to the point with me now where you are right. I could argue it and not pay it.
Yeah.
But at some point you're like, right, I'm spending fucking 8 hours a week admin, back and forth on emails for 25 quid.
Yeah.
How much could I earn in 8 hours? Probably £2,000. All right,
Yeah.
pay the 25 quid and get on about your fucking day.
Yeah, because you came to me originally. You were like, I just pulled my car up outside Halo.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's just whatever. And there's a parking ticket. But who cares? Who cares? You're at work. You're making money. You're earning. If you can afford it, like the Saudi princes that pull their Lamborghinis outside Harrods, and they get a clamp put on it, a £2,500 boot put on their Lamborghini. Great. No one's going to steal my Lamborghini. They go in shopping. They're spending like 50 grand on watches, and then they come out. They call the number up. They have the boot removed from their Lamborghini, and they carry on with the day because they got the financial freedom to do so.
I always thought of it like that. Like in my head, it was always, what is that meeting worth to you? What is that exchange of time worth to you?
That's
so
right.
if
Time
I'm
and
late,
energy.
if I'm late for a meeting with you, and I've got an option, I'm half an hour late already, and I can be half an hour later by going parking in the car park for £2.50, or I can park outside with a risk, 50-50 chance of risk of getting a £25 parking fine. But that meeting to me is worth 10 grand, let's say, 5 grand, a grand, whatever.
That don't matter.
Where's the value then? So for me, I'm like, I'll take the punt on the 25 quid because I don't want to miss this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's worth
true.
more.
Yeah, and you have to weigh up your time and energy and what you're willing to spend. And there was that realization in the courtroom which said, okay, well, the law empowered me. I became sovereign in my own right. Sovereignty is, no, I'll decide where I spend my money, and I'll decide what I'm doing. And now I understand the system is so pervasive that having the tax, MOT, and insurance is important. Having an MOT in your car is important, so you've got a healthy car. So it's not poisoning the environment. Like having tax, well, if the tax money goes on maintaining the roads, that's fine. Having a license, I just don't agree with at all. I don't think we should ask permission to the king to drive our own car, but that's just the way it is. And I don't want to get arrested. The amount of time it took me to be arrested and go through police stations and get caught, it's a complete waste of my time. Mm-hmm. So paying tax, MOT, insurance is much cheaper than wasting my time. That was the realization. So then...
What a realization that is as well.
Yeah, so it is profound. So then I went and spent this time in India and in Thailand, living abroad. And that's where the mental health and emotional healing started, because then I realized, well, where am I spending my time and energy? I don't feel happy. I was fighting them because I was angry. I felt tyrannically oppressed. I felt like someone was oppressing me. I felt like I was being controlled. And that's just daddy issues and mummy issues. Ultimately, broke all the way down to its core. Unhealthy parenting and stuff like that. So then came that journey, which was years and years and years of self-study, psychoanalysis, reflection, contemplation, silence, plant medicines. And it was just internal work only. And external reality became a thing that was just happening outside of me. Mm-hmm. The truth is that internally, I was cultivating clarity and peace and healing within myself, so that I knew by 34 that I'd be a teacher in this topic. I knew within a couple of years of healing, I thought, I definitely want to talk about this when I get back to England.
Yeah.
I definitely think my purpose or my calling is to inspire more people to do this, because it will change the world. And I always use William Wallace as an example. So you got William Wallace on a horse, believing in what he believes in. And you got Dave next to him on the horse, his mate from school. And Dave also believes in what William Wallace believes in, right? Because they're on the front line going to fight the English, right? Who are we talking about 1,000 years later?
William Wallace.
Yeah, why? Because he really stood up for what he believed in. He wasn't following, he was leading. And in order to make active change in the world, you can't follow anyone. You have to lead your own path. You have to be an expression of what you believe in. You have to be willing to push yourself out and stand in the fire and say, in the arena of life, and say, this is who I am, regardless of what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. Not saying that I want films made of me and statues made of me and stuff in the future. That's not the point. The point is that I'm just living my own authentic truth. So when I teach spirituality, quote unquote, I'm just teaching authenticity. If you're angry, say fuck you. Go and fuck yourself, you fucking prick. And he's like, well, you're not very spiritual, are you? Oh, I thought you were meant to be sitting on a cushion meditating and saying Hare Krishna. No, spirituality is authenticity. It's better to be aggressive than passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Better to say, fucking watch yourself, I'm going to come after you. Oh my God, I thought he was a spiritual person. Well, this is spirituality, mate. Don't defy me. This is authenticity. Spirituality is authenticity. And I am born of this body, and I am born of these parents, and I am born of this culture. And whether I like it or not, I'm a white, tall, 6'4" guy who was born in England and was born in the 80s. That's my authentic truth. I'm not going to be an Indian guru sitting on a cushion talking about a flower, because that's not where I was born or the culture I was raised in. I'm me, I'm this is what I look like, this is my nose is bent, I've got crooked teeth, whatever. This is my hairline. Authenticity is knowing and owning your truth and just doing it anyway. And if half the population will say, this guy's awesome. I love this guy. I want to be like this guy. And the other half will say, this guy's a prick. This guy's an asshole. Who's this guy think he is? Because authenticity is like an electromagnet. Half of it is repelling and half of it is attracting. A magnet is polarizing, like you talk about dividing. But authenticity is dividing. So half of the population will be like, this guy's awesome.
Life is polarizing, though. Positive, negative charges.
Well, we live in duality. We live in duality. Up has a down, right has a left, in has an out, hot has a cold, black has a white. Everything in this reality is dual. So when you go and speak your authentic truth and you're out there in the world believing in something, and this is what I truly believe in, half of the people are going to be celebrating you, and half of the people, maybe less than half of the people, if you're being really loving, maybe a small percentage of people, but you're going to get haters. When you place yourself into an arena, people are going to hate you. Are they jealous of you? Are they resentful of you? Are you genuinely, the way I talk is probably pissing off all the conservatives and the Tories on the planet, right? So if you're a Tory conservative, who's this guy think he is? I'm going to lose my house and my car if I think like this guy. Forget this guy. I want to keep my assets in place. I'm going to vote Tory so I can have more capitalism in my life. So just by me having an opinion, I'm going to cause a lot of people to dislike what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But regardless of the dislike and the hate, the most important thing is that you express it. That's the single most important thing with reality, with your experiences. If you think you can make a difference in the world, you have an obligation to say it, like Jordan Peterson says. It is my responsibility to speak.
Do you know what's quite amazing to see? I have a lot of friends that think and speak like you that maybe don't have very high profiles, but recently you're seeing a lot of high profile people come out and say some of this stuff that 10 years ago we'd have gone, he needs to be in a nut house.
Yeah.
If you think about it. And, we touched on it before, but like Terrence Howard on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, I didn't even know he had that side of him. I only remember him from Empire, from that series. Was it Netflix? I don't know what it was.
Netflix series, yeah.
The music series.
I like him.
And he's done 3-4 hours now of some absolute madness. Half of it I almost can't understand because I'm probably not at a level of he is.
As soon as I watched it, I said, this guy is Tesla level.
You watched it?
I watched it loads of times. I've watched it over and over again. Because I also know that you become what you watch. If people understood this simple concept, they'd stop watching television. They would just stop watching television. If you understand that you are a product of what you read and what you watch and what you listen to, what goes in your ears, your nose, your mouth, your ear is what you are, will ultimately become. So we need to make sure that if you watch Terrence Howard over again, you just become like him. You think like him, you talk like him, you behave like him. I'm very much like Alan Watts because I've just absorbed so much Alan Watts over my life that as soon as I'm talking, I've got all these Alan Wattsisms in my head and just the way he talks, the way he delivers himself, the way he talks about heavy things in a light way. So he's talking about really heavy concepts. He's just laughing about it as if it's a joke. I developed that over the years because I saw the value in making heavy things light. Because I could be here saying, we need to take down the government. All right? It's really serious. Or I could be like, yeah, we could do that if we want.
Yeah.
I personally would go to Downing Street and just delete them all. I wouldn't hurt them. I'd just put them in prison. I'd just get all the politicians. I'd put them all in prison and I'd fill the politician halls, all the positions. And the interview process would be, do you have integrity? Do you have honor? Do you understand that you're serving the public? Are you willing to sign this contract that says, if you benefit financially from anything, you're immediately in prison? Are you willing to sign a contract to say that if you, your family, or your friends, or your colleagues benefit financially, even 1 penny from your position, you will happily go to prison for life, the rest of your life? Are you willing to sign that contract to do this job? If that person says yes, you got the job.
I don't know if you'd get even a cabinet full.
Are you kidding me? I'd fill that cabinet in 10 seconds.
I don't think you would.
I would.
That one question of like having no benefit at all, I don't think you would.
Yeah. No financial benefit. No, not saying no benefit. No financial reward.
Okay.
0.
Okay. Financial reward, yeah.
Benefit, massive benefit. Watching people have youth clubs and care homes being taken
financial
care of.
Reward.
No financial reward.
It's still tough, but you'd
also no financial reward linked to you. As in, not even your friends, your family, your colleagues, business partners, or anyone can benefit from you being in a position of power. No one. If you are found taking 1 penny from the system that benefits you in any way, you're in prison, and you've signed a contract to say that is the case. I reckon I'd fill the cabinet in 10 minutes. The most heart-centered, loving, caring men and women.
I wonder what the world would look like if it was run by those people, though.
It would be the most incredible. It'd be like Star Trek.
Would it, though? Would it implode?
No. This is the thing about light. Darkness is the absence of light. Darkness in and itself doesn't exist. There's no such thing as darkness. What we say is that we're in a dark room. We're like, well, it's dark in here. Of course it exists. Well, not really. It's just that there's no light. So you turn a light on, what happens to the darkness? It just vanishes. So if there's people in a position of love and light, then the darkness would just disappear. So you don't have to do anything about it. Do angry people oppose loving people? Maybe sometimes they might feel a bit offset by it. Like, oh, this guy's too loving. I've had girlfriends that I was too much in service to them and they didn't know how to accept it. So we had to part ways. They were just like, it's too intense for me. And there would be opposition against people who wanted to genuinely and authentically serve other people. But the only people that would take out those types of politicians are the oil companies, the royal families, the people who benefit gratuitously from corrupt politicians, right? So it's very difficult to put a bunch of loving people in a cabinet because they'd just be killed. And this is why it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Because if you're going to go into a position of love, you better be prepared to kill someone. What Jordan Peterson says. What makes a man is that he's literally dangerous. You can be loving and kind all you want, but you better be ready to take on the world.
Control it, yeah.
You have to be able to know when that is the right time to pull a sword and say, hey, listen, you're out of line. Yeah. And then put the sword back and provide the love as an automatic default setting. Your default setting is to love, but don't ever be afraid to pull the sword because that's how you maintain the love. A bunch of loving people who aren't willing to do that are just going to collapse and unravel the system. It just won't be. You have to. What does Keanu Reeves said? He says, "Are you a lover or a fighter?" He goes, "Well, if you're not fighting for love, what's worth?" I can't remember the exact quote.
He's incredible. What's next for you, Chris? What's next in life for you?
Just keep healing, keep unraveling, keep clarity. My sole purpose on the planet is to do this over and over again, to have more people jump on board. I want to talk in seminars about mental health, how we can improve our mental health, how we can heal our emotions. It's a mechanical process. It's not like some kind of woohoo stuff. It can be taught. Methods, practices, and techniques can be taught.
So you're trying to start a cult?
I've been called a cultist so many times.
Have you?
Yeah, so many times. But it's a beneficial thing for everyone.
Yeah,
it's truly beneficial. If we can get people come to terms with their mental and emotional health, then there's less tyranny in the world. There's less opposition. There's less defense mechanisms. There's less aggression. And my whole sole purpose for me is to dissipate tension as I go through entertainment, through education. Edutainment.
Edutainment, like that.
Edutainment. Educating people in an entertaining way.
We may, we're over 2 hours now. The cameras will stop in a minute, but we may have to get you back in once I've processed half of that stuff. There's some that I need to go away and
process it, and then think about a couple of stuff we can get deeper into. We haven't talked about half of the stuff.
I know, but we'll do it. We'll do it next time.
Yeah,
mate, really appreciate you. Legend. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on here. I knew a couple of years ago this would happen.
You've been manifesting.
No, I watched you when you first got off script going. I said, I'm going to be on that show.
Yeah, sick.
I knew it. I just
love
knew.
that.
I saw the direction you were going in.
Yeah.
And I thought, he knows what he's doing. We're all heading in the same direction anyway.
Of course.
But I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.